Check, check, check. Check one. That's garbage. Hey, hey, hey. Can anybody hear me? All y'all in the chat, let me know if you can hear me. We may move this puppy over here. We got a road game, casual Krakoa. I don't know what's up with the chat. I don't know what's up with the video. A lot of questions. A lot of questions on my end. Okay, you can hear me. All right, we're going to start this baby here. I'm going to head over to where I had the live stream. Let's share a link. This is where the party will be. This is where the chat will be tonight. Okay. Let everybody waiting over there know about that. Okay. I don't know why I don't have visuals. I had a joke ready and everything, and I've got nothing on the cam. I have no idea how to edit this. Let's see if there's any way that I can show my beautiful face. It just feels like I'm depriving everyone, frankly. As long as you can hear me through my garbage computer mic, then we may just do it this way and just have the most garbage road chat of all time. But that may just be the way this is going to go down. I'm literally clicking everything to see how to get this to be my chat. So okay, so if you're joining for the first time or one of the first times, this is not typically what a casual Krakoa is like. I am traveling, I am on the road, and I have been hacked by Phalanx. Thank you, LB, there for the for the update for everyone. I've been hacked hard by the Phalanx here on the road, and I'm doing this through my laptop on the go, and I don't have any of my equipment or any of the usual stuff. Okay, so this is not a traditional casual Krakoa, and I truly have no idea why I don't have video. But as long as everybody can hear me, I'm just gonna do it because we're just gonna do a short one today anyway. It's not gonna be super long. Frankly, if you can get in any questions that you have, any priority topics, there were two very big and very wild comics today that I just obviously we have to talk about, right? We have to talk about X Lives of Wolverine #4 and X Deaths. I'm on the run like Moira. I'm digging that comic. Yeah, no, it's totally true, right? Like I am absolutely I'm on, I'm on the lam. I'm on the lam, right? I didn't want to announce it last week, but I am fleeing Krakoa after years as one of the champions of the Krakoa era, as one of the foremost advocates of X-Men comics over the past, 2+ years now. I've turned on them. I've absolutely turned on Krakoa. I've turned on the X-Men. The X Office is out to get me, and I'm going full heel. I'm going full heel, and I am just straight up diving into being the villain of this story where I do nothing but neg and criticize on X books going forward. So that's why I'm hiding out here in a hotel room. I wish you could all see this. Like I'm literally on a hotel bed. This was going to be the most seductive, personal, casual Krakoa of all time, like by several thousand miles. And we're not getting it because I've got this weird, sweet visual. But okay, let's get to the good stuff. I have no idea how to change that, and that's not going to change anytime soon. So I'm Dave. This is the garbage casual Krakoa, and we're going to talk about X Lives number 4 and X Deaths number 4. I'm not in my dressing robe, Warren. I will clarify there. I am in the hotel bed, but the spread is not as sexy as you may be imagining. But here's the thing: you have no visual, so choose your own adventure, right? Choose your own adventure. Okay, for the people asking, like, hey, there were actually 3 good comics today. Yeah, you're right. Sabretooth, obviously a mini I've been super pumped about. We've got written by Victor Laval. Like I've had such a high level of confidence that that book's going to be good for a long time. I haven't read issue number 2 yet. Okay, so I'm not going to be talking about Sabretooth yet. Like I said, I'm on the road. I got things going on right now, but I did carve out time this morning for X Lives and X Deaths. My first reaction, and I tweeted this out, was, and you can find all my stuff at Comic Book Herald. Obviously, the YouTube channel here. You can find me at Comic Book Herald on social, on Twitter, on Instagram, on all that stuff. You know what? I'm seeing from Bill here, you're the Judas of the X Office. He says, nah. Judas is like implies that I was like ever in the loop, right? That I was like ever a part of the party, which is definitely not true. But I'm definitely not in with the X Office, right? Like I definitely do not have connections. It's hard to know for sure how much of it is because it's not like I haven't tried. Like it's not like I haven't asked the question. It's hard to know how much of it is just I'm a small time individual comics blogger, and I call myself a journalist occasionally now, but small time. And how much of it is I am occasionally critical. Probably it's more the former, right? Odds are, percentage wise, it's more the former. But then I see some of these interviews that the Jerry Duggans and the Leah Williams and all them go and do, and it's like, like I'm bigger time than some of them. But yeah, I've got petty jealousies, right? I'll just air it out here. We're doing a road game, casual Krakoa. Let's talk about it. So, am I the Judas? No, because I'm definitely not that. I was not a part of the disciples in the X Office. Am I moderately frowned upon and ignored? Mostly just ignored. Yeah, there's some of that. The only people that I've had contact with, ironically enough, is through like non-X Office stuff, right? Like I've interviewed Cy Spurrier about Way of X. I interviewed Victor Laval about Destroyer a couple years back. I interviewed Steve Orlando about some of his creator-owned stuff, right? Like, so I've got like X Office folks that I've had the chance to talk to, which is super cool and super nice. But it's never, with the exception of Cy, really been super specific to the X Office, right? But anyway, if you're joining here, and so yeah, so what I'm saying is, put pressure on your local X Office writer and call them, email them. Dave Krakoa and Comic Book Herald is ready and waiting, and would love to talk. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying is just I need you to help. Anybody jumping in late here and saying there's no video? Yeah, I know. I'm well aware. Problem. I recognize it. I'm not doing anything. We back? We back? I think that should be back. Yeah, I'm on hotel Wi-Fi right now. So listen, I told you, I warned you, things are going to be weird, and they're weird, right? This was never going to be good, but we're doing it anyway. I laughed out loud 3 separate times during X Lives and X Deaths. It's not a funny comic. It's not a funny story. It is not trying to be funny. I don't think in any capacity. I still laughed out loud 3 times, pretty hard, honestly. This is a big, dumb, absurd couple of issues, and you know what? God bless big dumb comics. Okay, Marvel event comics can get goofy and silly and dumb, and that can be okay. That can be fun. I would say of the 3 moments that I'm thinking of here between X Lives and X Deaths, one of the moments is like actually fun. I was actually like, all right, here we go. This is dumb. I don't care. It's fun. I like it. That bit was the okay, and the spoilers, right, for X Lives and X Deaths. Okay, that bit was in X Lives when Wolverine pops up out of the Weapon Plus experiment with a Venom, entanglement. Okay, when we find out that Weapon Plus was experimenting, venomizing Wolverine, that was a blast. That's a hoot. It connects to the Donny Cates and Ryan Stegman run back when it was at its best in the very early days. It's connecting to Web of Venom v not like it's connecting not just to the Cates and Stegman Venom run when it started in Marvel Fresh Start, but to the one shot where they explored the use of the Venom symbiotes in Vietnam. Okay. And that was big and dumb and goofy in all the right ways. I love that. I love that. You've already got Wolverine and Omega Red traveling through time. You've got Omega Red possessing Wolverine's bodies while he's being experimented on by Dr. Cornelius, and shouts to Joshua Cassara for getting to do Barry Windsor Smith on the Weapon X, wires going everywhere, plugged into crazy hair Wolverine, and then popping out the Stegman Venom design up out of that tank. That's glorious. I love it. Yes, put the Venom on Wolverine. Let's see what happens. And you know what? You know what? In Marvel continuity, it kind of works. It actually kind of works. It makes sense. Like Venom and Weapon Plus and these things, they have ties together. The idea of a super soldier program, using the symbiote, using Wolverine's DNA and whatnot going on, right? Like that all makes some sense. Okay. So it actually works and it's goofy as heck. And I enjoyed it and I laughed out loud just in that sort of the best way that comics can make me feel sometimes, which is just like, oh yeah, this stuff's fun. This is so fun. This is why I enjoy this. That did it for me. The two other moments that I laughed out loud at, I laughed out loud because they were really dumb and did not work. Okay. One of them I just thought was actually, this one's not quite as bad. So I think it's in X Lives, Professor X. At one point, there's a data page, and so you've got Professor X and Jean Grey. They're hovering over Wolverine, and they're on like what, like a 48-hour no sleep, psychic like overcharge mission to send Wolverine's consciousness back through time to all of his past lives, to monitor that, to still be active in Krakoa. Like they just have like insane amounts of things going on. And then there's this data page that propositions the idea that Professor X turns to Jean at one point and basically hits her with like an LSAT logic puzzle. Like he turns around and he's like, "Hey Jean, I know you're literally taxed to the point of near fainting, but a train is traveling 75 miles an hour east. Another train is traveling 62 miles an hour west." And it's just like, and then they have this really detailed logic puzzle conversation. And all it's doing, all this data page is doing, is it's saying, hey, we're pretty clearly messing with time, right? Hey, this time travel story, it's really messing with time and continuity. How are we going to fix that? And what they do is basically it ends with them deciding, like, hey, Gene, how about you just mind wipe everyone who sees anything during this time period, and we'll call it a day. And that's their get out of jail free card, or at least what they're positioning here as a get out of jail free card, so that this doesn't blow up Marvel time. They're trying to blow up, or they're trying not to blow up, Marvel continuity, right? But with that page really made me laugh out loud because it's just like, Professor, not the time. Like, Professor, it is not the moment to turn to Jean and hit her with your logic puzzles. I thought that was pretty corny. I thought it was super hokey. I don't think it fits in the comic super well. So yes, I'm semi-critical of that. So X Lives is just like, it's kind of off the rails. It's not connecting heavily, frankly, to X Deaths in any significant way, which was my prediction from last week, frankly, which was like, I don't think this comic's going to connect that heavily. I just kind of think it's going to do its own thing, and ultimately they'll like semi come together. And then the end of this comic is pretty darn good. It's pretty darn good because it is Omega Red possessing Logan in the present day in Krakoa, and then popping up, stabbing his claws through Professor X, conveniently through both shoulders. And greetings from Russia, and we see the parallel with Mikhail Rasputin controlling Omega Red, traveling through time with the Cerebro sword straight up in his chest. So Omega Wolverine, not Omega Wolverine, the Omega Red Wolverine here finally does get an assassination attempt, but it's in Professor X in the present day, so it's not even messing with Professor X of the past, which frankly is messier and a little bit harder. Um, X Lives continues to be not great, I think is the safest way to put it. But it is a big wild, sometimes wacky Wolverine story. And as Wolverine comics go, I mean, again, like if this was just 5 issues of the Percy run on Wolverine, they would be probably the 5 most fun issues of the run. So, like in that regard, I think it's pretty enjoyable. I think when you consider it as a Marvel event, as an X-Men event, I don't necessarily think it works super well. I guess the questions coming out of that comic specifically are like, is Professor X going to die? I think the answer is definitely not. And then I guess the other question is like, what is actually going to happen with Omega Red and Wolverine and this this political feud between Russia and Krakoa, which, good grief, the modern parallels that Ben Percy has waltzed into by playing up Russia as a primary political and geopolitical antagonist, obviously are just like too real at this point for what's going on. So I don't know. It gets messy. I don't necessarily think any of these characters are going to be taken off the board. Um, going into like, I don't think there's a big death of coming out of X Lives of Wolverine, but I am definitely curious about where it goes. Now, speaking of curious about where it goes, X Deaths, the Moira mini, written by Ben Percy. With we got art here by Federico Vicentini. I'm loving what Federico's doing on this book. It's kind of a throwback, like Umberto Ramos, kind of like Messiah Complex era X-Men thing. Just big, kind of oversized guns and kinetic action and wild, kinetic phalanx technology and stuff. And it's like I'm actually digging it. Like it's increasingly growing on me as this book continues. But X Deaths here goes, it jumps the shark. It jumps the shark girl. Okay, like it just goes all the way off the rails. So the moment I laughed out loud at here, that was definitely not supposed to be funny. It was definitely not supposed to be funny. So we got Moira going. If you thought after last issue, like, oh man, like I'm not sure I'm that into Moira as a villain. I wonder how they're going to redeem her or have her come back around. Uh, Stop hoping. Stop hoping, because it's over. It is over. We went straight from, we don't know anything about what Moira's doing. We don't have any information, to she has straight up gone full arch villain, super villain. Okay, but the moment here that made me laugh is, so Moira's got her plan, to maintain her digital consciousness. That's what happened last issue, and like achieve her immortality. We learned last issue that she's, the arch villain at the end of all things, who basically eradicates mutants, and that this Omega Wolverine, the Logan from the Phalanx timeline, he finds this out and he's traveled back in time. We learn a little bit about how that happens here. But what we find in this issue is Moira is, so she's got this digital immortality project, but she's also like, her physical body is dying of cancer. She's like, I don't have much time left. What she wants to do with her last breath essentially is get to Krakoa. She wants to get back to Krakoa. She needs help to do that because she's not a mutant anymore. So she brings Banshee into the picture. Now, Moira and Sean Cassidy are romantically inclined for a long time throughout the Claremont era. They never tied the knot, as far as I'm aware, but they're romantically linked a bunch. So like they're super close. We haven't seen that reunion because obviously like mutant kind did not know Moira was alive. So they get together in a bar. That's actually in the data page. The next thing we see, and the data page kind of trails off, and it's like, Banshee, will you help me? Or, she doesn't ask that politely. But then we see Banshee walking through a Krakoan gate. And what it turns out to be is Moira literally wearing Banshee's skin. This is so like Game of Thrones faceless man style, as Luca Nieto, our CBH writer, pointed out today. This is so absurd. This is like, the Joker cutting off his face in Detective Comics, Preacher, cutting off skin. Like, this is body horror absurdity taken to just like ludicrous extremes. This is supposed to be scary. I just laughed very hard. It is so goofy. It is ridiculous. Moira killed and cut off Banshee's skin and then wore it in like a bodysuit to Krakoa. Like, what is happening? What just happened here with Moira? Okay, she was a very interesting character, and I'm using past tense. Moira was a very interesting character. Okay, and I don't want to be rehashing this point every time we talk, but it's like, holy cow, there were some steps along the way between most interesting, most important woman on Krakoa to super villainous wearing ex-lover Banshee's skin. There were some steps along the way. that could have been revealed. I mean, holy moly. Like, absolutely, absolutely ludicrous. So anyway, that happened. It was absurd. It definitely took X deaths from it's just, you know what though? It's like, so I'm like, okay, this is doing big, dumb, absurd things. Sometimes I think they're dumb in all the wrong ways. Sometimes I think they're dumb in really fun ways. But you know what? Like X Lives and X Deaths, it's doing stuff. It is doing stuff. It is moving narrative. It is moving things along. It is moving plots. And God bless Benjamin Percy for finally picking up the ball and kicking it downfield, right? We've been punting for a year with the Reign of X. Let's have somebody take a shot downfield. I don't care if we're overthrowing the receiver by 26 yards. Take a shot, baby. And that's what X Deaths is doing. That's what it's doing. Okay. Yes, I'm seeing from AV here the Lost Memoria miniseries. It would have been awesome. Yes, like lament what could have been, right? Like clearly that was needed. It would have been awesome, and it no longer makes hardly a lick of sense. But it's not going to happen, right? It's a sunk cost. It's gone. It didn't happen. Here we are. This is what we get instead, and it's not as good. Sorry, not as good. But it is. It is wild. It is wild. And it is explosive, and it's going to mean things for comics moving forward. So we don't actually get what's happening here with what Moira's doing. We see Professor X engage with her psychically, and basically she calls him a coward, which fair. He's basically like, hey, I have to do what the Quiet Council wants to do because I believe in this government. Okay, Charlie, like I think Moira's right actually here. Like he's definitely being pretty cowardly. We do see Moira blast Forge with the mutant gun, which if I'm Forge and like I'm putting that in a like a locked case. Like I'm using at least one bike lock and a slightly tricky 3-number combo on my demutantify gun. Maybe that one only comes out for special occasions as opposed to like prominently displayed so that can be used back on Forge, which is what happens here. Moira seemingly depowers him, and we'll see how that plays out. What else? What else? We get a little explanation about how Faye Logan has been traveling back through time. It's honestly not that interesting, frankly. We learn a little bit about, like, in the last issue, he mentioned he knows how everyone dies, and we get some specifics there, but frankly, they aren't that interesting. But like the thing I like about these comics is they are doing stuff. They are taking big risks, and I think a lot of them miss, but it's taking them, and I appreciate that. So, okay, I'm gonna be here for like 5 to 10 more minutes, and I will answer as many questions about X Lives and X Deaths, or just respond to thoughts and things that people have here, or just stuff that I said or whatever. I'm less into the idea of like of oh, X Deaths is actually really good after today, but I'm still pretty into like, yeah, if you've been following this era, like you have to read this, like you have to read this thing. Like it's clearly essential and clearly going to set up the destiny of X, like Immortal X-Men and X-Men Red. Like all these books are going to have to deal with this, and kind of figure out like what comes next based on what's happening here. So I mean, I'm recommending people read it in the sense that if you've already been along for the ride, you definitely have to read this to keep going and to enjoy it. I mean, it's as Bill says here, it always defies our expectations. That's been true. I appreciate that a lot about X Deaths and X Lives. It really defies expectations, and that is something that I look forward to in Marvel Comics, that X-Men comics have lacked to some degree. So all right, let's see what questions we have. We'll do like 5 minutes. Do you think they will turn Arako into a lesbian with Red Root? What? I think insofar as sentient islands have sort of a locked and understood sense of gender and sexuality, which I don't anticipate they do. Um, I don't know that there's a romantic relationship between Arako and Redroot or Doug and Krakoa. If that is something the X Office wanted to explore, sure. I'm not an expert on the subject, but I don't know that lesbian would even be the right terminology with that sort of really sci-fi comics thing happening there. So, all right, let's see what other questions we have. Um, Gillen and Percy feel like polar opposites as writers. Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. Like, I think Kieran Gillen is going to do really interesting things with Immortal X Men. If you're pretty out on X Lives and X Deaths and kind of feeling beat down, frankly, from the Hickman exit and kind of like where X comics are right now, definitely give Gillen stuff a chance because there's a real, he's a really smart, creative, just comics writer, right? And he will find an angle, I think, that is at a minimum interesting. It may not work, it may not be fantastic, but there will definitely be something there that is like worth engaging with. So I would say like that and Al Ewing on X Men Red are definitely our best bets for long-term X runs that could feel like they're restoring the magic. Okay. I'm seeing the chat here. You're missing super chats. If that's true, I'm on the road. I'm in a hotel, and I'm not on my usual technology. I apologize if anything's coming through. I'm not seeing it right now, but seriously, I apologize if I'm missing it. I promise when I'm back to my regular routine next week, just give me a comment. Let me know something and that you did it last week and you missed it, and I promise I will respond. So apologies for that. All right, let's see. What else do we got? Do you think all this wouldn't have happened if Emma would just be cool? Emma is cool, first of all. Emma's the coolest. No, I don't think that. I think Moira's secret getting out of the bag would have happened no matter what. This is what happens with secrets kept between, in this case, powerful men trying to run everything themselves. If we learn this from the Illuminati, we learn this from every Jonathan Hickman comic. So no, I don't think Emma can be blamed. I don't think Mystique and Destiny can be blamed. Professor X and Magneto, yeah, there's some blame. There's some heavy blame there. I don't blame Doug. I don't blame Koa. I do blame Moira. Like Moira definitely, she has had the agency to make these decisions and is making them now, and they are all the worst and definitely the most selfish in terms of like Moira's thing is just she wants survival. She wants to win. She wants to win immortality. She doesn't care what happens to mankind at this point. She is just like, again, Moira was very interesting, and now she is a wild supervillain who is still interesting, but not in any of the same ways that character's potential was. Wouldn't Moira have a backup in Wanda's mutant heaven? So yeah, that was clarified in X Deaths that I think Charlie had not been backing up Moira for one reason or another. I didn't read it that closely. There's definitely something there about like, hey, we don't have backups. Here's the thing: until Wanda's mutant heaven gets used, like with any regularity, I'm ignoring it. I am choosing to ignore Wanda's mutant heaven because that was a thing in Trial of Magneto that seemed basically to be used just to bring back John Proudstar and has not been talked about in any sort of like pragmatic capacity sense. And if there's anything that needs to be pragmatic, it's a mutant heaven. So I'm just ignoring that until that actually starts getting used. Okay, let's see. Have you read Ewing's interview for X-Men Red? No, I haven't yet. I want to read the comic when it comes out, and then maybe I'll start digging into it. Let's see. What else? Do you think even if they stop Kill Moira now, it'll turn out that she already uploaded an AI copy of her mind somewhere? Yeah, I think she did. I think that already happened. I think that was already done with the fake Google CEO. I think that's been uploaded. I think her digital immortality is secured. I am finding that part interesting in regards to like Moira is like feels cursed with the need to live forever and ever and ever and always lose. Yet at the same time, she so badly wants to win that she actually wants to achieve these kinds of immortality, right? Through sort of any means necessary. So it's like the thing she maybe hates the most is also the thing she's the most desperate to achieve. There's definitely some rich ground, I think, to play there. But I think the AI copy of her's already done. I think that's made. Now she's just like basically on a death trip, knowing this cancer is going to end her physical body anyway. And what I didn't mention is she goes back to the demutant gun for Forge to see if it can remutant her. Like that's her plan is to actually try to get her mutant powers back so she can get a new life. But that doesn't pan out. But yeah, I think she's got the AI copy already. Let's see. After depowering Moira, how come Forge's weapon is still readily available? I mean, yeah, like that's what I'm saying. Like that weapon should be under lock and key. I don't know that it's like a one-shot use. Like I have no idea what like, because it is one of those things where it's like if that thing is too available, like, we got a problem for X-Men comics. All right, one or two more questions, then I'm gone. These were wild comics. I feel fine with this garbage live stream. I'm glad that all of you were able to join live and listen. I do really appreciate you being here. Apologize for, again, like, road game, don't have any of my equipment. Hopefully the mic's okay just through the laptop. I have no idea why there's no webcam, but there isn't. So here we are. Next week will be better. We'll be back to normal. Again, if you're like joining for the first time or listening to this after the fact, I promise this is not usually what these are like. Uh, Although, like, quality wise, like, of the content, like, I don't know if it was that different. Like, this is mostly what I do. Okay, so let's see. Okay. I'm not seeing any additional questions. So and I'm seeing I miss your pretty face. I appreciate that. I do appreciate that. Like I said, like, literally sprawled out on the bed here, looking good. Maybe a little sunburned from being outside today, but yeah, bring you all back a souvenir. I will do that. That's how I'll make it up to you for this garbage live stream. I will bring back a souvenir from the trip next week, and we will have a good time. And I think we'll talk about Sabretooth definitely next week, because I do want to talk about that series in more detail. Obviously, I'm anticipating that's going to be one of my favorites. But we'll keep talking about what's going down in X-Men comics. That's what we do every Wednesday, even when I'm not around. Am I in a banana hammock? I can neither confirm nor deny. We got, let's see, final question. If Mara's tied to the Phalanx, doesn't that mean she now exists outside of time and space? Well, I don't think she's tied to the Phalanx yet. Although, if you think about the Wolverine future, and you think about that future that Moira has already basically won, Wolverine escapes back in time to try to prevent it, but didn't that Moira in the future already achieve it? And now she can get outside of space and time with the Phalanx? It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question Gabriel raises. Here's the thing. I have no idea what it means to be outside of time and space in a Dominion. That is not a concept I understand in any capacity, but that is an interesting question that I do think they should play with. So, okay, I'm going to go hang out with my family, continue to be on vacation, and maybe tonight read Sabretooth #2. Follow me at Comic Book Herald on Twitter and Instagram. I may talk about Sabretooth #2 over there. Again, like, subscribe to the channel for better live streams and Kraken Krakoa videos coming next week on the Comic Book Herald channel. So, thanks for listening. I really appreciate you all being here for the live stream. Honestly, like, this is way more people than I would expect to be here for this type of thing that I was able to put together today. But these were crazy comics, and we had to talk about them, and we did. So thank you all for joining. I'll be here next week. Enjoy the comics.